Rahim wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi. We've done the ghusl. We need to do the kafan, the shroud. So the shroud for a man is 5 pieces of cloth. Yeah. So the 5 would be, one piece would be used to make a qamis, a shirt. The second would be, a waist wrap. The third would be used for a turban. Yeah. And 2 would be used to wrap the body. Does that make sense? So a qamis, one piece would be used to make a qamis, a long shirt. Second, a waist wrap. Third, to a turban.
The waist wrap is like a loincloth?
Yeah, loincloth. Yeah, that's a better word. Loincloth. Yeah?
Sorry, those 2 pieces look as though somebody that help would be wearing them? Is it?
Pardon?
With those 2 pieces, being put it away, such as a man would
No, you'd actually sew, it can be stitched, but very roughly stitched, because they don't need it. Sometimes they don't stitch them. You just make a hole and put it on, and you can tie it, and then a turban, and then the 4th and 5th are just too loose that you cover the body one first and then with another covering. Yeah. The only difference but a woman has 7 pieces of cloth for the shroud. Yeah. So it's exactly the same as a man. So one for the qamis, second for the loincloth, third she wouldn't have a turban, but she'd have to cover her head and face. With the man, you'd cover the face as well.
Okay.
Yeah. Then 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th would be just to cover the body. So a woman has 2 extra pieces of cloth to cover her. Yeah. If you leave a will, the thing I was saying about a will, saying I want to be buried in my favorite set of clothes, then we will do it, but you've got to leave instructions. Yeah. Sayyidina Abu Bakr radiallahu anh, he left instructions, bury me in my old clothes because the living have got more need of new clothes. But you've got to leave instructions. Imam Hussein alayhi salam, the day he got martyred, he asked for an old set of clothes, and the women wept because they knew that would be the final day. So if you leave instructions that I've got this favourite shirt or suit that I want, set of clothes I want to be buried in, then those will be honoured. Yeah, but again, it's you plan. It's something that we don't think about, but but if you leave instructions, you don't need to be written. It can be verbal. You tell someone, so I want to be buried in such a place. I want to be buried in this set of clothes. Some people go on Hajj and they say, I visited the Prophet ﷺ in this set of clothes, I want to be buried in those. Or they'll wash their clothes in Zamzam or something. But again, you've got to leave instructions, I want to be buried in those. Does it make clear about the... Yeah? The face is always covered. The thing I was saying before, people going in, once the face is covered, you don't open it. Because it's covered, that's it. Yeah? We move on to, the burial, the grave. all of us know is 6 feet down. How the Prophet ﷺ's preference was, in Arabic they call it lahad. It goes down, then in the right hand side there's a chamber dug in which the body is laid down. Yeah. In this country, we bury them, in wooden coffins. They actually do exactly the same thing as that chamber would. The only difference is that we don't do something with the body that in Muslim countries they do in that chamber. Is they make sure that the head is facing the Qibla. They turn it on the right. Well, when we bury them here in this country, we just put the coffin straight down. What needs to happen is that the head should be made to turn it. It's something that you do it before you put the box in the thing. When the box goes down, you always say that it's on the practice of the Prophet, ala sunnati Rasulillah. Yeah, because the way you're burying them is on the way, the way of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
So you mean you declare that as you do it?
As you do it, yeah. And so the grave in this country, we haven't sorted ourselves out. Do we want those chambers dug? But I don't see any problem with the wooden coffin. That's fine. The only thing is that we've got to make sure that we tilt the body so it faces the Qibla.
So it's just the head that faces
the head, yeah. So ideally the whole body. It's like when you lie down. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay.
It's what they did to my uncle. Before they actually reloaded.
They turned his head.
Well, actually, they kind of like within the box.
Yeah, they turned
his whole body.
Yeah.
So that he was almost at an angle.
Yeah. No, that's what should happen.
Yeah.
And the thing is that all that needs to be done is that the coffin can actually be designed so that when you put the body in, that it's naturally already there. It's just something that we're not thinking ahead. Yeah, it's a simple thing that when they build the wudu places in the mosque, they never think that they should face the Qibla. It's simple.
Yeah.
A bit of forethought, does it? Because you can put 2 pegs in the coffin or something that holds the body on its side, or you could put some
pillows or something.
Practical question.
Yeah.
If you've got a dead body,
yes,
does it kind of try and spring back into shape it?
Say again?
Is a dead body kind of limp and movable?
It's stiff as anything.
Right. So you should position it
before
it stiffens up.
No, it'll go the way you put it. It'll stay.
Okay. Right.
Yeah.
It's
not stiff as stiff.
Right.
Yeah. It's not stiff as stiff. It's still pliable. Still pliable. Okay. Once the body goes in, the soil should be put in gently.
Okay.
Not with a JCB then?
No.
We don't do it. We do it with like a crane.
No, we don't. We do it with shuffles.
Okay. No, nowadays there's new trend. You like put in the massive load first, and then you go slow.
No.
You shouldn't do that.
No. Well, I'll tell you what we do in Birmingham. You get a piece of wood, a plank of wood, that you put on the coffin, and then you put the soil on the plank. so it goes in gently over it, and then you slowly keep pulling it out.
I've seen this.
Yeah.
I wondered what that was for.
Yeah,
Have it at the Muslim burial ground in Redbridge as well.
okay, and it gently goes over it, and it's better that people do it themselves rather than getting the workers to do it with one of the diggers. Yeah, shouldn't make. Anyway, I'm not going to go. I'm not going to comment on headstones and everything else. We don't. We're going to leave that.
Headstones? What's headstones?
You didn't hear it.
Small or big? What do you recommend?
Yeah. You make it flat as possible. Yeah. You make the whole soil. Put it on top. It naturally goes down. Yeah. The soil, it will naturally go down, and the flatter it is, the better. What have we got left now? Is there anything that you can think of to do with the dead that we haven't covered? So we've done the janazah, we've done the washing, we've done the burial.
Walking away from the grave.
Okay. Walking away, here you don't see people observe it, but traditionally it's something that 40 steps.
Do you
Yeah.
mean? Like 40 steps.
Yeah, the angels come.
The angel comes after the humans
Have gone.
away.
Once they've walked 40 steps away.
The last person, maybe.
Majority of them have gone. Usually, let's go back while they're putting the soil in. If someone can keep reminding, of the 3 questions, it helps.
While they're there, so to the dead.
Yeah,
They can hear you.
of course.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh yes.
And they said it how, right?
Why would we say Assalamu alaikum
Yeah,
ya
that's right.
Ahlul Qubur if they didn't, hear?
They can always hear you. It's every time you go to the graveyard.
We don't speak to the deaf.
I thought we just said salam to be like polite.
What? To Assalamu alaikum.
I do.
At least I know that now. I think, 'cause I don't know, I studied this last time
Yes.
with this Hanafi teacher.
Yeah.
It was that so the person is still with their body, the soul is still with the body until the people leave the grave. Then the angels come and ask the questions, and then they extract the soul, and so then the soul is no longer with the grave. Is that right?
The soul
Yeah.
does not return back into the body. Once it's gone, it's gone.
And it's the same, the angels then come and extract the soul. It's the same.
No, the angels don't come and extract anything. The angels, it doesn't happen, because what you've got to understand is that the physical and spiritual realm is literally that window pane. Difference. It's not so far away. It's here and now. Yeah.
And since you mentioned going away from the grave, if you come towards the grave when you come back.
Let's deal with this one. We'll
Oh,
come
we're
to
still
that.
going. Sorry.
Yeah. Once the soil has been put on, people have walked away. The two angels who question come, and they question the soul. They don't take it out of the body again. It's too painful. Once it's too painful.
Yeah.
Has anybody read how painful it is?
I've seen So this isn't when I thought that's what happened. So it's like, what's it? Going through cotton wool.
Yes.
Yeah. But then when I studied it last time, they said it depends on the state of your soul as well.
No, but that's the initial.
Okay.
You know, that's the time when you know. Yeah, sakarat. You know, when death happens.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll come back to the death thing in a minute. Once you know you walk away, the angels come. They ask the deceased 3 questions. Yeah. Who's your Lord? Who's your Prophet? No, sorry. Who's your Lord? What's your deen? And who's this man? Man hadha ar-rajul. Who's this man?
Who's this one?
Yeah, who's this man? Seriously, who's this man?
Oh,
Because they see him.
that's
Yeah, and that's actually the most more authentic position, reliable position than who's Muhammad. You know, they ask who's this man.
yeah.
So, man rabbuka, you know, man dinuka, man hadha ar-rajul. Who's your Lord? What's your deen? Who's this man? Depending on the answers will depend on which grade of waiting room you end up in. That's the best understanding of barzakh. Yeah. Now it's called talqeen. Now talqeen happens, you know. Walaikum salam. Walaikum salam. You know the talqeen. You know when someone is dying, we'll come to the dying. The way that what you do is, you know, when someone is dying. Oh, you're going to pray. If you go in here, it'd be better. Yeah. في الغرفة. When you know someone's dying, what you do is you burn incense. Yeah, so it smells really good. Yeah, the men should be in state of purity. They should be in wudu. The women, you know, close relatives. The women, close relatives. If they're in that time of month, it's fine because they're close relatives. If they're not, then they should be in wudu as well.
So is this in the burial ground?
No, this is someone's dying.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I'm just.
Yeah, someone's dying.
Okay.
Yeah, someone's dying. Now, what happens is you do not ask the deceased to say the shahada. What you do is you all there start saying the shahada. Not loudly, yeah, not too loud, but not too, you know, silently as well. You know, a medium, so they can hear. So you create the environment that, you know, they can easily hear, and also it's a time when du'as are answered. It's you know, the time of death. It's a time where, you know, it's a good time for supplication as well.
Sheikh, do you know the previous point you made something about women, close relatives? I didn't get that one. The one before this.
No, close relatives, usually, you know, because people keep women away.
Okay.
If they're in that monthly cycle, yeah, if they're close, then it's fine. Yeah, if they're not in that monthly cycle, then they should be in wudu as well.
The people around. Okay.
Yeah, and you keep saying the shahada, yeah, till they pass away. If someone whose voice that they recognize or they're used to, if they keep, you know, answering the 3 questions as well while they're dying, it's good as well. It's like you're preparing them, you're prepping them.
So you ask the question and give the answer.
Yeah, keep. No, just answer. Just the answer. Don't ask the question. Just the answer. Yeah. After they die, we've already covered what needs to happen. While they're being buried, if you keep answering, the question as well. Yeah. Now, after someone, has been buried, if someone stays there, keeps answering the questions, because they hear, it helps them. And it usually, close relative, someone whose voice they're used to, that's the best thing. I usually get, the wife or daughter or someone, because they don't allow them anywhere near. So because everyone's gone, they go and sit and keep repeating the answer. Yeah. And what happens is it helps them. You're helping them. And it gives people closure as well.
Yeah.
The thing that doesn't happen, a lot of us, sometimes a close relative, because of illness, the doctors are saying that, we can't do anything more. Just bring them home from hospital. Don't leave them in the hospital. Bring them home. Have that, family space. The incense burning so it smells sweet, and get the dhikr going, and the answers going. So it helps them. And what will happen is that it helps the family as well. It's something that people are not used to. When you tell them this, when they're prepared, you don't hear those wailing and laments anymore, because people are already, and what will happen is you'll actually see that tranquility on someone's face, once they've passed away, when they've gone through this process, because you've helped them. Yeah? We okay now? Yes.
So you mentioned the importance of fulfilling the wishes of the person that's died.
Pardon?
Fulfilling the wishes of the person that's died about their burial.
Yeah, the will.
The will. If
Yeah.
the person passes on and says they wish to be buried abroad,
Yes.
as a child, would you have to
Yes.
fulfill that?
Yes.
Is that
If someone says that they want to be buried in such a place,
delay the burial?
yes, it's not a problem. It's not a problem. Yes.
I'm not sure if we're going to cover this afterwards or not. I'm not sure if that's a cultural thing or not.
Yeah.
What about the 40 days, visit after 40 days?
It's a cultural thing.
That's a cultural thing.
Yeah.
Okay, and the Azza.
The Azza for 3 days, that's well established.
So that's not a cultural thing.
That's nothing cultural.
Well, what do you?
For 3 days, the family don't cook. The relatives cook. They provide the food, and the community gathers, and presents their condolences. What traditionally happens is people either will come and just read Fatiha as a supplication, or they will make a supplication for the deceased. And it's a really good. It's become very customary, but it's very well established from the first community. Yeah. So what happens in Birmingham is that the mosques take over. They open the mosque up so people can, because houses are not big enough for receiving so many people. So people will come and sit in the mosque, and people will come and present their condolences. So for 3 days, the 40-day thing is there is something, but it's stretching it. The 3-day thing is well established. Yeah? For the woman, a widow, her mourning period is, the waiting period. That's well established as well. Yes.
What about
for a widow wearing white? Or I think it's for.
You know, the color thing is cultural. Islam does not dictate what color you wear. You know, what you'll find is that you know, in European culture they wear black. Muslim culture has always worn white, be it, you know, a celebration or, you know, a religious thing or death thing. Because the Prophet ﷺ said that, you know, white is the best color. You know, shroud your dead in white as well, and you know, the living. You know, we wear white. We don't have this thing that, you know, certain color is associated with mourning. And those are, you know, cultural things, and each culture has their own colors, and the Deen, you know, has no problem with that. Is there anything else about death before we can move on, because we want to close this? Yes, Ali.
We're returning back to the graves.
Returning?
Or just generally
Visiting?
Visiting.
Okay, yes.
What's the general rule of thumb? What do you say?
We already said, when you go, you say Assalamu alaikum ya ahlul qubur. Ahlul qubur. Yeah, you say your salams, and they do hear your salams. Yeah, and what you do is you make dua for them. If you can read some Quran with the intention that God gives it to them, then you do that. There's no prohibition from men or women visiting the graves.
Because I was reading Bird Latif. I was reading Bird Latif. I think
yes,
that's what it's called. And are you allowed to do that for your deceased ones? That's just as a good supplication. It's a very nice collection. Dua.
Read Quran with the intention of donating them, the reward to them. That's better.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. A small related question. So, for example, my father passed away some years ago. He died a Christian. Can I still make that same supplication? Can I still read Quran to him, or is it not proper because he died as Christian?
If he was a Christian, it would be difficult. But if it helps you, talking to God about him, I can't stop you from that. No one can stop you from that. Yeah, because the thing is that, you know, parents are, you know, doesn't matter who they are. Yeah. Parents are parents, and you know, when you're a parent, your child is your child. Doesn't hue, color, whatever it is, he or she will always be your child.
I guess I was wondering whether I should be reading the Bible at his graveside, or should I?
But that's not the Christian thing, is it? Alaikum salam.
I mean, my mother says the Lord's Prayer at the grave.
Okay. Then let your mother do that. You should go with your mother. Yeah. Is there anything else? Yeah? We're done with that.
I want to be alive again. That's good.
I tell you, you know, it's my joke with my children, and they've got it now, but it took them some time. I tell them I'm not going to die. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Because I'm not going to die. Yeah. Because you don't die, your body dies.
Oh, I get it.
You get it now?
I get it.
Yeah, you don't die.
Is it like how they say there's no old women in Jannah?
That's a different thing. That's a different thing. There aren't any old men in Jannah either.
Okay, sorry. You know what I mean.
If there are no old men, there are no young men, old women. No, it's you don't die, your body dies. Because you know, the spirit, it literally moves on.
Okay, this is a little bit. So can your soul see things as well?
Pardon?
You know how, like, when you're dead, you can hear things.
Yeah.
You can't see things, can you? Or can you?
It depends on what you did. What kind of life you led.
Oh, okay.
You know the thing I was saying that, depends on what kind of waiting room you end up.
I mean, see what's happening now. Like, kind of.
Right, every Thursday, yeah? Every Monday and Thursday.
Yeah.
Every Monday and Thursday, they're told what you've done. Your relatives are told what you've been up to. Yeah? If you go to my Facebook notes, you'll find the hadith.
Okay.
It's the whole thing of the spirit. We can be talking till the cows come.
Yeah, it seems there's a lot more we didn't know about.
But inshallah, what we've done is, because what we wanted to do was to deal with the ruling of the funeral prayer, with the washing of the body, with the shrouding of the body, and the burial of the body. Alhamdulillah, we've done that. So are people confident with that? Yeah. So what that does, that brings us to the end of the fard prayers, the obligatory prayers. What we're going to do now, till Asr, and then we'll break till 2 o'clock. We'll pray Asr, then we'll break, and then we'll carry on. What I'm going to do is introduce to you, the notion of, not the notion, how we understand, the Nafl prayers. Because what in the verse, the Sunnah Mu'akkada prayers are introduced. Yeah. So we've got, the Witr, the Eclipse Prayer, the Eid Prayer, and the Rain Prayer, and then the Rakat of Fajr. Now we're going to how Nafl gets divided. It's you have the Sunnah. Yeah, within the Sunnah there's Sunnah Mu'akkada. Now what akkad means, there's a great stress on that. So from the Sunnah Mu'akkada there are only 5 prayers within the madhab. There are 5 Sunnah Mu'akkada prayers. Yeah. Now, in order of priority in ranking is Witr. Yeah. You got Witr. You got the Eid. Then you got the rain. Is it Rain Prayer and Eclipse Prayer? Yeah. So the 5 in total. The 2 Eids.
Oh.
Come on, yeah. Yeah. Eid prayers. 2 Eid prayers. 2 Eid prayers. Yeah. Now, the Sunnah Mu'akkada. Let's take Witr first. Pardon?
I was going to ask a question, but I'm sure you're going to answer.
Go and ask.
Is it Shafa and Witr, or literally?
No, we're talking about the Akkad. The Muakkada prayers. The absolute Muakkada is the 1 rakat of Witr.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, this I think we've already covered how it's prayed, but we'll go over it again. Yeah. This is the only, in 24 hours, this is the only rakat of Muakkada prayer, Sunnah Muakkada prayer that there is. Shall I repeat it again? Yeah? Out of the Sunnah Mu'akkada, this is the only, in 24 hours, this is the only rak'at which is Sunnah Mu'akkada. Yeah? Does that make sense? Yeah? Okay. It is always prayed after Isha has fully come in. It can't be prayed before Isha prayer. Witr. Yeah? It's got nothing to do with Salatul Isha, by the way. It's not attached to Salatul Isha. It's not attached to any of the prayers.
Oh, so it doesn't have to be after you've done your Fard Isha. It could be.
I'll repeat myself again. It's not attached to any prayer, and it's not attached to Salatul Isha. The correct time for it comes in after Salatul Isha time. Prayers come in.
And this is the first rak'ah?
No, it's only one rak'ah of witr. Because you know how we pray witr is 2 rak'ats, which are nafil, called shafr. You pray them as aloud with Surah Fatiha and Alam Nashrah. No, Sabbih Isma Rabbika al-A'la, Surah A'la. Then in the second rakat you read Fatiha and Kafirun. Then you read the Tashahhud, say Salam. Then you get up and you make the intention for witr. And you read Fatiha, Surah Ikhlas, then the last 2 surahs of the Quran. And then you finish the rakat as normal.
Silent.
Silent or loud?
No, this is loud.
The witr is loud.
Witr, the shaf and the witr. The rule of thumb is that all the because sunan are nafal, they're not fard. Yeah, they're just sunnah stressed. Yeah, so all the night nafal are loud, and all the day nafal are silent. Yeah.
Can I just overview that, because I think I've missed something?
Okay, what have you missed?
So in the first rak'ah we read, I can't remember the surah anymore, but
A'la. After Fatiha.
After Fatiha. And the second one we read
Kafirun.
And the third one we read
in the single rakat of witr, you read Fatiha, Qul huwa al-Wahid, Qul a'udhu bi rabbil falaq, Qul a'udhu bi rabbin nas.
Okay.
And then you do the tashahhud and say salam.
But there's no dua in between for.
There's no dua.
But then
there's no dua. No, in Hanafis do, but this is Maliki fiqh. We don't have no dua.
No, but in the you start off with what intention? So the first.
The intention is for witr, raka'atul witr.
So why in the third one do we do it?
No. The first 2, the intention is for shaf.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You end them with the salam, then you get up, stand, make intention for the rakat of witr. You say Allahu Akbar, Fatiha, Qul huwa al-Wahid, Qul a'udhu bi rabbil falaq, Qul a'udhu bi rabbin nas, tashahhud, ruku, sajdas, sit, do tashahhud, salam.
And is that because you can't pray one rak'ah on its own?
None of the madhabs, I know the Shafi'is permit it. The Shafis are the only ones within Islam that permit you to pray the witr on its own, but in practice they don't do it. Yeah? Yes, love.
Sorry, if you plan to get up 5 minutes or 10 minutes before Fajr to pray, you will not pray the witr.
I'm going to come to it. Yeah? Now, that's how it's prayed. Yeah? Now, what's the ideal time for it? What is the best time? The best time is you get up for tahajjud, pray tahajjud. When you finish your tahajjud, you do shaf and witr. Yeah? And tahajjud is just before Salatul Subh kicks in. Half an hour, 45 minutes before. Because Subh kicks in about 5:45 now. So if you got up, 5:15, if it takes you that long to eight rakats of tahajjud, then 2 of shaf and 1 of witr. That's the ideal. That's the practice of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Yeah, that's his practice. Now, if you know you are not sahib al-tahajjud, you do not pray tahajjud, yeah, then the best practice and advice is you do it before you go to sleep. Yeah. Now, if you know that you're not going to pray it before you go to sleep, then do it after you've prayed Isha.
So can you not pray anything up until Fajr comes in if you've prayed that?
No, if you haven't prayed it, yeah. So the ideal is before you go to get up for tahajjud and do it, but you're not going to pray tahajjud, yeah. Then the last thing before you go to sleep, yeah. Now, if you're not going to pray before you go to sleep, then pray it after you've prayed Isha, yeah. Now, if you get up before sunrise, yeah, before Salatul Subh time finishes, yeah, and you haven't prayed witr, and there's enough time for you to pray witr, then you do the 2 rakat of shaf, then witr, then the 2 rakat of fajr, then Salatul Subh.
But if you have prayed it,
if you have prayed it, no.
You can't pray anything until the fajr comes in.
You can if you want to, but you don't repeat witr again. For instance, if you went to sleep, before you went to sleep, you prayed witr, and you get up and it's time for tahajjud, then you can pray tahajjud. But you don't repeat witr.
Because I've noticed when people pray Salah prayers, they will leave as people pray the witr prayer.
Pardon?
Yeah.
Tarawih?
Yeah, if you're praying congregation,
Yeah.
you'll leave and not pray that witr.
Yeah. That's best practice. We're going to cover Tarawih. Inshallah, we'll talk about it then.
The second rak'ah, is there tashahhud?
Of course, it's to you end the prayer with tashahhud. Yes.
Does the shafa need a specific intention? Could you
For shaf.
For shaf. So you can't say, I'm going to pray 2 rak'ahs and 2 rak'ahs until I feel tired and I'm going to pray my witr.
You can.
You can. So you don't
really?
need a specific intention for shaf.
You don't need
just
it.
like, I need to go to bed now. Those 2 were my shafa. Now I'm going to witr.
It's
That's
fine.
okay?
As long as you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Because the intention is you know what you're doing.
So you say salam after the second rak'ah?
Intention is you know what you're doing.
But when I prayed the 2, I didn't know it was going to be shaf. After the fact, I decided.
Okay.
My shaf.
What does shaf mean? Even.
Yeah. So that's
So
all good.
rakats are always in.
Pairs.
pairs.
Okay.
Just want to confirm, is that if you were to pray to tahajjud, do you do the shafa, do you do the witr before tahajjud?
No, if you're going to pray tahajjud,
Yeah.
then when you finish your 8 rakats of tahajjud, you do 2 of shaf and 1 of witr. Yeah?
So
Yes.
is it like maghrib, like you do the 2 and then you stand up again?
No,
Oh, so you say salam after?
you say salam.
Oh, okay, now I get it, okay.
Yeah?
Is there an option? Sorry, excuse my cough.
Yeah, go.
You know, the dua that you say there's no dua you have to do, but is there like an option or like a recommended?
No, there is no dua in witr.
Ah, okay.
There is no dua in witr. There is dua in tashahhud. Ask for your heart's content as much as you want. In sajda, in the 2 sajdas, ask whatever you want. In the tashahhud, ask whatever you want. But in the witr, there is no dua.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there any questions about witr?
No.
Yeah. By the way, if you are someone who regularly reads tahajjud, yeah, and you miss it one day, but you get up and the sun hasn't risen and there's time to read, yeah, as long as you won't miss your fard, you can. Then you do your witr and then you do it. Yeah.
And is it
Go on.
is it stronger than the reliever?
What?
If you've only got time for this is S-type.
No. You know the witr.
Yeah.
The witr is akid, is a sunnah mu'akkada. Yeah? So if you can fit it in, then that will take priority. Well, because once you pray Salatul Subh, if you haven't prayed witr, once you play Salatul Subh, witr's gone. As soon as you pray Salatul Subh, the fard, witr is gone.
So you can't even do it as qada?
There is no qada of any witr. There is no qada.
Okay,
Yeah? There is qada. We do have, which we will cover after the sunnahs, of the raghiba. But I want to stick to the muakkada.
Okay,
Yeah? So, is there any questions about the witr? You okay? Okay, let's go. Kusuf. Kusuf is the solar eclipse prayer. So that we're taking it in the order that they come in the poem, not the order of the ranking. So Kusuf is 2 rak'ats. It's a sunnah mu'akkada. It's 2 rak'ats in the masjid, in jama'ah. It's always silent, and it's the only prayer that has 2 rukus in 1 rak'ah. Have you ever heard of this one?
What?
It has 2 rukus in 1 rak'at.
You need demonstration, I don't know what you mean.
No, I'm not going to do that because it's so simple. You
it's like 4 times, as in.
No, I'll explain it. It's in Jama'ah.
Yeah.
So Fatiha.
Mm-hmm.
Then you would read from the Surah Baqarah. Then you would go into Ruku. Then you would get up from Ruku, and then you would read Fatiha again, and then something like Ali Imran, and then you would go into Ruku, and stand up from Ruku. Then you would go into Sajda, sit up from Sajda, go into Sajda again, and then you would get up for the second rakat, and you repeat the process.
How long does that normally last?
No, I'll come to that in a minute.
I don't remember this.
No, because it rarely gets prayed.
Oh.
Right, because it's for the solar eclipse.
Oh, this isn't the Eid prayer, is it? Sorry,
No,
got it.
this is the solar eclipse prayer. And what happens is that the Prophet ﷺ legislated this. He wanted to protect. You know the thing we were talking about being a mercy. He protected his community from any harm that you can think of. When there's a solar eclipse, what's the advice that's given?
Oh, don't stare at it, I think.
Don't look at the sun. Don't look at the sun. 1400 years ago, the Prophet ﷺ legislated it. Get in the mosque.
Wow, yeah, it's true.
Get in the mosque. And then he made sure that you stayed in the mosque. He made 2 rukus in 1 rakat.
You need that one man who would be like, I just want to stare at it.
Because you don't look, because when you look at the sun, it's going to damage your eyesight. Look how, subhanAllah, the more you read about this man, learn about him, the more you just love him more and more. Now, the reason, that's the underlying reason for it, is to protect us. It's a sunnah prayer, sunnah mu'akkada. The time for it, this is really important. The time for it is from after sunrise once the sun reaches your eye level, till midday, before when zawal, when dhuhr kicks in. So it's always in the morning. So if the solar eclipse happens between that time, that's the only time it will be prayed. If the solar eclipse happens after zawal, it will not be prayed. It won't be prayed.
Is that something that the mosques do here? If it does happen?
It's happened in Birmingham once.
We did it the other day with the year whenever it was.
Okay.
I prayed here last year,
Yeah.
I saw did it.
2015.
Did you?
Yeah.
Two rukus?
I can't even remember.
Okay.
I just remember that was the most painful salah that I've ever done. My legs hurt.
I don't get that.
Like 40 minutes.
Yeah.
40.
Because what happens is, from the onset,
That's why it's so long.
on the onset,
That's
from the onset of the eclipse till the end of the eclipse, you carry on. Now, the thing is that if the eclipse finishes before you finish the first rakat, so you've done one rakat, the first ruku, and you've got up for the second ruku, the eclipse finishes, you don't have to read the long surahs anymore. You should read the short ones and you finish it.
If you're inside, right? How do you know?
Well, they didn't have lighting like this.
I'm sure they have calendars now, so they probably.
No, now they do. I'm talking about at the time
Yeah.
the Prophet ﷺ, they would know because it gone dark and then it come light again, so they would finish it quickly. And now you can actually time it.
Okay.
You can time it, so you don't end up, reading really long surahs in practice. You can pray it on your own at home. If you can't get to the mosque, you gather your family together and you can read it together as a family. It can be done. If you haven't got family, you can do it on your own.
And is that the understanding that everybody has across the board then, that this is why it was done?
That's the understanding I have, and 20 years of going
I'm
through
wondering
books.
if I share it with you, because it's really nice. I was thinking I might share that.
No, share it. It hasn't a problem. That's my understanding of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it generally true that there's more ikhtilaf on these rarer prayers? Because I've not studied it, but just leafing through books, it seems there's quite a lot of different.
We do not agree on we don't disagree on the fundamentals.
Yeah.
We disagree on the recommendations and the sunnah and things. We do not disagree on the fundamentals.
Is it because it happened rarely that there's less evidence to go by?
No, there's clear evidence for this. There's clear the evidence for this about the prophecies of the Prophet ﷺ about this prayer is shocking. You go to if you get time, go to the solar eclipse prayer in Sahih al-Bukhari and see what was happening to the Prophet ﷺ when he was leading this prayer. God was showing him everything from the beginning of creation till the end of creation. And he says that he even saw the people entering Jannah and Jahannam. It was like, when you read the commentaries on this, that, because it's difficult to fathom. How can you take so much information in such a short period of time? And the scholars say it's like, literally, the Prophet ﷺ was shown. Rather than being told it, he was literally shown it. So, the question is, more questions arise. If it hasn't happened, how can it be shown? Yeah?
What about time?
It hasn't happened. Hasn't happened. I mean, people haven't, at the end of time hasn't happened. People haven't been judged. And we do not know apart from the Prophet ﷺ, who's going to go into Jannah and who's going to go to Jahannam? He's the one that came out one day and said, here are the records of the people of Jannah and the people of Jahannam. But again, we're going to end up going somewhere else where we don't need to. Are we okay about this Sunnah Prayer? Yeah?
Actually, is there anything, if you want to read up more on this, we can go to Bukhari. Is there anywhere else you would tell us to go?
Muslim,
Okay, so
Tirmidhi, all the books of Hadith.
Yeah.
If you just put, the Solar Eclipse Prayer,
Yeah.
they should bring the records up.
Okay, so you think that's good for us then, just to go straight?
No, it's good because it gives you the evidence for how it was prayed.
Yeah.
Inshallah. As to the lunar eclipse, there is a prayer, but it's not a Sunnah Mu'akkada, and it's never prayed in Jamaat. It's always prayed individually, like any other nafil. So because it happens at night and people at home, if it does happen, it's good to pray 2 rakats. It's only 2 rakats, like this 2 rakat. But the lunar eclipse is just normal 2 rakats. But the intention is of the lunar eclipse. Okay. The Salatul Eid. Now, there's something that I should have done before. Like we covered that the fara'id are ayn and kifaya. Yeah? They're individual and communal. The Sunnah Mu'akkada are individual and communal. The 1 rakat of witr was the only individual. Yeah? The other Sunnah Mu'akkada prayers are communal. The Eid prayer, out of all, the Sunnah Mu'akkada prayers, this is, the one that's well known because it gets prayed regularly, year in, year out, twice a year. Now, it's prayed in Jama'ah. And the people who pray it are the ones who are under obligation to pray Jummah. So male, free, mature, sane, resident. As to, women, slaves, travelers, there's 2 positions. Does anybody remember what the scholars say when they say 2 positions? For and against. That's it. There's a group who will say yes and a group who will say no. For Eid, for women, the Prophet ﷺ encouraged the women to attend. And some women, actually if you go to Sahih al-Bukhari you'll find this, some women said that we're in our monthly cycle. He says that doesn't stop you witnessing it. You don't need to pray it, but you can come and witness it because it's a celebration. Because the Eid prayer is a celebration. There is no adhan for it, and there is no iqama for it. You can, you see this in Morocco, they do Salatul Jami. They'll say Salatul Jami, gather for the prayer. It's 2 rakats. Yeah. So in the first rakat, there are 7 takbeers, including the takbiratul ihram. The opening takbir. In the second rakat, there are 6 takbeers. The first rakat, there are 7 takbeers, including the opening takbir. So when you begin the prayer, you say Allahu Akbar 7 times, but you only raise your hands once. Yeah? If you raise them, 7 times, it wouldn't be a problem, but the mashhur is only once. And then the recitation, Fatiha and the surah.
Which surah?
You're not going to read it. The Imam's going to read it.
He picks whatever.
No, he'll pick it. It's usually Surah Ala and Ghashiyah. But it's up to them. Yeah. Then you get up for the second rakat. It's 6 takbeers.
Are our arms by our sides?
Arms by our sides.
6 takbeers.
6 takbeers.
No hand raising?
The mashhur is you don't raise your hands.
Oh, but you know how you raise it at the beginning for the 7, and then when you start the 6, do you do it once again with that? You don't do that.
Well, the mashhur is you raise it once for the opening of the prayer, and that's it. But you say the takbir.
Yeah.
Yeah. Loud.
Yeah.
Yeah. You say the takbir loud.
Wait, in the second one as well, you say the takbir out loud?
Yeah.
6 times.
6 times.
Okay.
7 in the first, 6 in the third. Moroccans are really, if you ever prayed Eid with the Moroccans, it's an experience because they say them in unison. It's really amazing. It's in unison, but you don't have to. What you do, you say them loud. Allahu Akbar. Yeah. It's recommended that in the first rakat, the recitation is Sabbih Isma Rabbika al-A'la, Surah Ala. And Washamsi Wadduhaha in the second. They're allowed, like Jum'ah. And there are 2 khutbas, like Jum'ah. The only difference is that the khutbas are intermingled with the takbir. The Imam will say the takbir. When he begins it. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. And it's prayed in the open. Go on.
This might be a side thing, but for khutbah, I've heard in the Maliki madhab we can't do it except Arabic.
Yes.
So even the entire the
khutbah is always in Arabic.
So no pre-English, post-English translation? Is that
You know, shall we leave this for Jummah?
Sure.
Because
Yeah.
that's where it get covered.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's on cue. But we're gonna we'll finish Eid, inshallah. Let's finish Eid and then we'll break. So 2 khutbahs. Yeah. As khutbahs are, you know, in Jummah, the Arabs have the khutbah has to be, you know, minimum, something that the Arabs would say, this is khutbah. Yeah. It's always, you know, praising God, blessing the Prophet, and then admonishing the congregation. And there's always a portion of the Quran in it. It shouldn't be, unless, you know, the weather doesn't permit it, it shouldn't be prayed in mosques. It should be prayed outside, in the open. Apart from in Mecca. In Mecca it should be prayed in the mosque, in the Masjid al-Haram. The time for it is, you know, the same time when Nafal is halal, you know, after sunrise, eye length, before Dhuhr. Technically, people will say its time lasts till Asr, or some people will say till Maghrib, but you know, it's a Nafal. It shouldn't clash with the Fard prayers.
That eye height thing, is that the time for Dhuhr?
Yes.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. That's when, you know, Nafals become halal. Before that is makruh. From when the sun begins to rise, and once it reaches your eye length, after that Nafal are halal. Till Zawal. You know, Dhuhr kicks in at the Zawal. So the time for Nafal is that. So the Eclipse Prayer, the Eid Prayer, the Rain Prayer, all of them are prayed in those times. Yes?
Sorry, I misunderstood what you
said. You're supposed to, you know, wear the best clothes you have, scent. You go out saying, you know, the takbirat. If you can walk to the place better, nowadays is impossible because we drive. And the way that you go, you shouldn't come back that way. If you're driving, no, doesn't make sense. The whole reason behind that is that you would meet more people because you're on foot. You know, the way you've gone, you'll meet different people, and the way, if you come back a different way, you'll meet different people.
Yeah, it's a shame we're losing that.
Yeah. You know, to finish this, because the whole reason was that, you know, you would say salam, you would, you know, do dhikr together, and people would join and do it. In Medina, in Saudi, it still happens. You know, this thing of you can't do dhikr together in congregation in one voice. This breaks this thing, and the Saudis do it every year. You know, when Eid comes, they all leave their houses on foot, they go outside and pray, and they're all saying the takbir together.
Yeah.
And when they're waiting, sitting, you wait for the imam, the whole congregation keeps saying the takbirat. And once you know the imam sits for the khutbah, you keep repeating the takbirat. And once he finishes, you carry on with them. But it's a celebration. That's what it is. Are there any questions on Eid? No?
How hard should we try to miss work?
Pardon?
How hard do we try to make it, given that I'm a teacher? How hard do I rattle the cage?
You rattle it till it breaks.
Okay.
Because you know, the job of teachers is to mold people's minds. So the more you can get into the mind, if you get into the mind, you'll get to the heart. And the thing is that as teachers, we're too afraid. And the whole thing that held humans back is fear. And the whole reason that, the men of God become the men of God is they conquer their fear. Because that's how God describes them. He says, "La khawfun alayhim wa la hum yahzanun." That no fear comes them and they're never sad. Because they've conquered that fear. What's happening in Birmingham, I don't know if it's happening in London, but in Birmingham, there's more people are coming together and having the Eid in the parks.
Yeah, that's happening good.
Which is good.
We have a lot of Eid.
Which is good. Which is good. Which is good. But the one thing that should be stopped, it becoming a money-making machine. It should. It's a religious.
What's making it money-making machine? You mean when the Tesco's and stuff do?
No, that it becomes a fair and mosques are, collecting money. That's one of the bid'at that's crept into our deen. Buckets, Jum'ah, collection.
Is that not?
Wallahi, no.
Even if it's a charity?
Charity is you give. The right hand shouldn't know what the left hand shouldn't know what the right is doing.
Yeah.
Not you go chugging.
But obviously, collecting the money aside, with these days where they make like a fair out of it and stuff like that.
Yeah. The fair should be separate.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like even
it should
with
be
that,
separate.
Yeah, you feel like that at least that, especially for children, that they've got something to do on Eid, because the fact that we're not living in a Muslim country, I find that a lot.
No, but the thing is that we should teach our children to be children. They don't need to have a fair to have fun. Because the whole the thing as parents that we're losing is spending time with the children and telling them what the whole thing of Eid is about. Because the whole thing of Eid is that it's a community thing, it's a fair thing, not a fun fair thing. Because if you read up what our scholars have to say about these fun fairs and wasting time on games and all that, it makes your hair stand on your head. It's a pity no one's translated it yet. Seriously, pity no one's translated it.
Your witness isn't accepted.
Pardon?
Your witness is not accepted if you play chess 1 or 2 times a year.
There you go.
Wow.
And that's just playing chess.
What? Why didn't hear that? What was that?
Your witness is not accepted if you play chess more than twice a year.
It says in this book
So
that if you don't pray witr, your witness is not accepted either.
That's a Shah opinion.
Is it? Okay.
That witr, it's to miss a nafil.
Yeah.
You're not held accountable to miss a nafil.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because the only thing that you are brought to account for is in front of God is for your obligatory prayers. For your supererogatory, your extra prayers, those are your extra prayers. Yeah, there are certain communal prayers which are stressed and certain individual prayers that are stressed, witr being one of them. The mashhur is that it is not a sin. Yeah, so if it's not a sin, how does that infringe your adalah? That does not infringe your uprightness. Yes, we do have certain scholarly opinions. Those are scholarly opinions. We have so many scholarly opinions. Even in Hanafi fiqh, yeah, it does not infringe. It does not. It's not a sin to leave a wajib, because in Hanafi fiqh they grade what we grade as sunnah muakkada as a wajib, because in Hanafi fiqh is a different grading. to leave a wajib, yeah, if you leave it on purpose, yeah, you'll find that, there's fatwa that says it's a sin, but then if you go to their usul, it's the same as ours. Because in usul, a nafal, leaving a nafal is not a sin. You're not held accountable for a nafal.
Mm-hmm.
Does that... Inshallah.
Because we don't have... we have sunnahs, right? We have sunnah, nafal.
We're going through the sunnahs. We're going through what is sunnah muakkada.
Oh, so we divide the sunnahs into like two. So there's sunnah muakkada and then there's sunnah...
We don't have ghayr muakkada.
Okay, we don't.
What does the ghayr muakkada?
Pardon?
What does that mean, ghayr muakkada?
Non-stressed.
Oh, okay. They're just sunnahs.
That's the sunnah muakkada.
So we don't go down, leave it at that.
No, we have something called nafil.
Okay.
We have stressed nafil. Yeah? And non-stressed nafil.
Oh, we got that too, okay.
We're going to deal with that, inshallah. Shall we pray ourselves?